guys. Roller Group Podcast. I am Lawrence Allen.
I'm Aja.
Dustin.
Amari.
Erica.
Man, right. He's the odd nigga out.
Right, we missing somebody who just threw it all off. But welcome back, guys. So today's podcast, we're gonna have a little bit of a different conversation, more of a serious but yet intellectual conversation. And it's gonna be something very stemmed off of like what's been going on recently in our in the Black community, especially what happened in Memphis. RIP to Tyree Nichols, right?
Yeah. Tyree Nichols.
RIP to Tyree Nichols. You know, our hearts and prayers with you and your family. Asia, what was the question you asked me earlier this week about this topic?
Today's topic is about Black men vulnerability and how can Black men be able to be vulnerable going into spaces such as friendships or relationships. And do you believe that when Black men being in a cage, is that their comfort zone, or they go in and out of cages, or they keep the cage around but like to also be out the cage? What are your thoughts, Lawrence?
On the, I just think vulnerability is something that we first gotta know what someone's vulnerability is and able to be vulnerable about. So, just being honest, just vulnerability is all about, it's based on the person's perception. So if we're not, listening, taking in more than just the words, how they're saying it, how their body's portraying what's going on, we gotta really listen to everything and not just one thing. But before we get diving deep into it, let's hear everybody else's thought processes too.
Before we continue, I should have said this sooner. Before we continue, can we get a 5-minute moment of silence for Tyree Nichols and his family?
Yes, yeah. All right, guys. Great moment of silence. We appreciate y'all. I really, really do. This is a tough subject, but we gotta keep moving forward. So, Dustin, how do you feel, brother?
In regards to Black men's vulnerability, truth, it does stem from our upbringing. I believe the question is more geared towards whether it's generationally or gender motivated. In a lot of ways, it can be a little bit of both. I know in this generation, we're more so free thinkers. We're not bound by gender orientation, but there are still aspects of traditional values or toxic masculinity, as I put it, that are still embedded in all of us that we're still battling today. Our vulnerability stems from a lot of different traumas that we're faced as men, and a lot of different circumstances that we're facing today. And I know that it's very hard to overcome those circumstances, but it's important to one, know yourself as an individual and know that your mindset and that your beliefs and that your willingness to endure goes beyond that of your gender.
Okay. I like that. Amar?
Well, first and foremost, I believe that proper vulnerability amongst Black males has to first align with self-worth. To do it properly and avoid using survival mechanisms, you have to realize your self-worth. When you have a sense of self-worth, you know what to cut off and how to effectively communicate why you don't agree with something and you're not lashing out. That way you don't get a negative reaction from your partner or friends, and they thoroughly understand where the mistake or mishap has happened. So first and foremost, in order to break the stigma of not being able to discuss vulnerability, you have to learn to concentrate which is something most people don't learn altogether. Learn how your mind works, learn to concentrate, learn the proper definition of communication and vulnerability and your self-worth. Then you can get past the, typical stigmas that we're having with vulnerability. Vulnerability won't seem taboo once you realize what your power is mentally. Conquer yourself mentally. Emotions will follow suit. But enough of what I think. Miss Erica, we're dying to hear from you.
I mean, I really can't speak for a man. I just want to hear what you guys have to say. Then I can piggyback off of that.
Well, I'm going to pass that back to one of you guys.
Oh man.
It's not enough. No. We can speak all day to a blue in the face what black men's vulnerability is, but as a black woman, being our right hand man, like right hand person in this situation, you see firsthand what the black man endures. From your standpoint as a black woman, how do y'all feel that when it comes down to hearing the vulnerability that black men face, how does that make y'all feel? Do you feel like we are vulnerable? Do you feel like we need to come to terms with our vulnerability? Do you feel like we are, caught up in our ways? Like, what do you guys feel when you hear that term, black men vulnerability?
I feel like majority of the men that I do encounter are not very vulnerable. They don't really talk about their emotions. Something is bothering them. They just keep it more at a surface level. And I do have come across more that, are more open to talk about how they're feeling because some have been in therapy, so that I guess that was comfortable for them to be able to talk about their feelings a little bit more, and they have expressed to me that it is hard normally for them to open up to even women in their family or, their, past significant others because of the fact that a lot of times women will tell them, oh, you're too emotional, or, just suck it up, you're a man, like, get over it. So they aren't given the space to be vulnerable, so like when they come across someone, it is a lot harder for them to open up. But I feel like as women, I feel like we do have to make that space for them. Because it is sad when I hear like guys don't really want to talk about their feelings, or that they feel like they can't talk about their feelings. And I feel like we have to make them comfortable instead of, chastising them or making them feel like they're less of a man if they do open up. So I do feel like it does start with us women creating that environment for them to, open up and be comfortable.
Oh, that's powerful right there.
I mean, do you feel that women are,
Powerful.
and women in today's society, do you feel that black women are, enabling a man to embrace his vulnerability, or are they, helping him embrace it? What do you feel like is the case?
Honestly, I feel like majority of women, they don't enable them to be more open. I feel like there are some that do, but I feel like majority of them, because I speak from personal experience, a lot of them are like, he's too emotional, he always in his feelings, he always crying, he always this, he's always that. But it's just like, for me, I'm not that type of person. I want you to be able to talk because I know as a human being, you go through things. And men are not, they don't feel comfortable talking about their feelings. They're told that they can't. And I feel like we need to allow them to do that. And I feel like a lot of women don't want an emotional man. They look down on that. But I feel like majority of us, we need to, just how we want someone to listen to us, because we cry all day about how we feel like we're not listened to, but how can we complain about, a man not being there for us or not listening to us when we don't listen to them? So I feel like more women need to create that space, because we don't create that space in a lot of the times. And I can say when I was younger, I did, tell guys, or not necessarily say it to their face, but I would be like, he always in his feelings, like he be emotional. But now as I gotten older, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They're a person. They go through trauma just like how we go through trauma. And I know for me, I want to be open with whoever I talk to talk about my feelings. So I want a man to be able to talk about his. So I feel like more women need to create that space.
And speaking with saying that you want, women should create that space, how can men allow women to create the space if women don't understand the space that they need themselves? Because, black women need their own space and understanding how their own emotions are working before they try to understand our emotions. Because we go like what Justin was asking earlier, is it gender based or generational? Most times, in my opinion, it's generational. Because like my grandfather and my dad were kind of like, don't let nobody know how you feeling. Like you just put it, bottle it up. But over time, once my father passed, I had no choice but to let my emotions flow. And now that I'm at the age where I'm at now, it's more like I'm more conscious of all my emotions. Like I know how I feel. I know what I want to do. I know how I want to feel with somebody. So now it's like I know what I want to do, but I have nobody to express it with. Because a lot of people don't know how to accept that box, like that Pandora's box. It's really like Pandora's box, if you really want to be honest. It's wrapped up nice, looks very cute, very, very pretty. But when you open it up, it's a lot of trauma, it's a lot of hurt. That's been boxed in that I want to release and let somebody else not feel the pain, but just know it. But I feel like when you open that box for someone there, it's too overwhelming. Do y'all agree? Like it can be very
Potentially.
Definitely.
It can be too overwhelming, and then now she's running, or she's saying, "Oh, he's just too much to deal with." But you asked for this box. You asked for me to open the door of vulnerability, so you open Pandora's box. Be ready for what comes behind Pandora's box.
I think picking back off of something that Amari said, he mentioned, self-worth. That's what you said. Like somebody needs to know themselves. So I feel like also men and women really need to understand like the type of trauma that they bring. Because I feel like when you get to a place where you understand yourself, because sometimes if you're going through trauma, it may be a lot for you to deal with what someone else is dealing with. If you haven't dealt with it, if you haven't dealt with your own things. So I feel like it does take, start with yourself. Learning yourself and learning, the areas that need improvement, addressing whatever traumas you have, so that when someone does come in, you guys are able to help each other, where it's not like, oh damn, I'm gonna run because this is too much for me. So I feel like both parties need to, work through their emotions and create the space for each other.
Okay. So
Now we cooking with grease.
I mean, I like what both of us are saying, so I want to ask somebody who's I know is somewhat of a walking Pandora's box, but does not allow anybody in very quickly. Amari, how would you how do you unwind if you have somebody in your life? How do you unwind your traumas so that they understand who you are?
Logistically, you have to use prioritization.
We asked, how do you, not statistically, how do you?
No, I'm telling you, logistically, I use prioritization. I understand that I have a finite bit of energy, and I have to utilize it properly, especially with loved ones in my life. I gotta give energy to my job, which means I have less energy to give to the people in my home that I love and the people that are around me. So I mentally prepare for each thing that I go through, and I prioritize how much effort is necessary through each point of my day. So the way that I would unwind is mentally prepare for each step. I know I gotta get up in the morning, so I prepare mentally for the first night. Set my alarm clock, go to bed at a certain time where I get 8 hours of sleep. That way I'm not cranky. I get through the day, I'm not pissed off, I'm not taking negative energy to my partner. So even though something negative may do happen, I'm mentally prepared for it. There's no negative energy stacked on top of that shit. And when I go discuss with my partner and express my vulnerability, I'm not being overwhelming. I'm expressing myself in a point where they can receive it and they can help me. Versus, oh, I want to talk to you, I've been dealing with this shit all day, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not just unloading, I'm unwinding. I'm not unloading. That is important. Prioritization, the realization of your energy source, and preparing for each point of your day that you know you have to encounter. That prioritizing not only just helps yourself, but it's also thinking about your partner. Thinking about your partner helps them think about you, and it's beneficial for the both of you.
So what you call prioritizing, are you saying that you're empathetic to your partner?
Yes, you most definitely have to put yourself in your partner's shoes. Yes, because I wouldn't want my partner coming home to me unloading versus unwinding. I have to understand that I need to unwind and not unload on my partner, because that's just only going to create a vicious cycle. Nothing's going to get done. We're going to be screaming at each other. And then worst case scenario, we break up. We both not learning from the situation at hand, and then we carrying that on to a different person. It's a situational, endless cycle. And being self-aware is how you break that.
So by knowing yourself, you know how to deal with your partner.
Yes. And loving your partner, understanding what love is in the process. There's no room for hate. There's no room for wrongdoing, which is a subset of hate, whether it be intentional or unintentional. When you love somebody, you're going to prioritize to the point where you're going to nip any form of hatred or wrongdoing in the bud and put yourself in their situation. Put yourself in their shoes first. Run that scenario and make sure you're not doing that to them so they don't do it to you.
So like what you call prioritizing is called, what's so called compromising. It's almost like you're compromising how you feel, what's going on in your life for the sake of another.
It sounds messed up at first hand, but it's a necessity. You can't make it, when you're in a relationship, you cannot make it all about you. You are important. Yes, you are important. However, you cannot make it all about you and expect it to work.
So
you are one entity with that other person.
Do you believe in talking to your partner about how you feel?
Yes and no.
Because you say, you use the terminology of unwinding and unloading. Life ain't that simple.
No, it's not. That's why
there's a lot of shit that's gonna happen in life. You're gonna deal with a lot of bullshit. And then that comes from being a black man and being a black woman. There's a lot of shit, a lot of stigmatism that is placed on us in this life that we live.
I agree.
And,
you're right.
And we're gonna walk a very steep path that's gonna drive us to the brink of insanity. It is impossible for you to sit here and tell me that there will never be a moment where you find yourself unloading and you gotta constantly prepare yourself to unwind. You can't prepare for shit that you have no control over.
That's
life is an endless miles of mazes, twists and turns that you cannot prepare for, no matter how much you prioritize.
No, I agree.
So it's not that simple. It's understanding yourself. Like you're saying that your energy is finite. Your energy, like you gotta manage your energy for a certain level. Yes, love is love. We all know what love is. We all know how to define love in our own little way. But her loving you is understanding that when you step out that door, you're gonna go through a lot of bullshit. When you step out that door, you're gonna go through a lot of bullshit. Like vice versa. When she step out that door, she'll go through a lot of bullshit. Sometimes, rather than keeping it in, you can let it out. And who better to do it to the person that you love? No, who better to do it to the person you love? Telling them how you feel is not taking it out on them.
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
So
but a lot of people make that mistake.
It's called communication. Just because I'm talking to you doesn't mean I'm letting my frustration out on you. When your wife, girlfriend, whatever asks you how was your day, and you telling them, that's not me taking it out on them. that's the whole idea of black men being vulnerable. When you love somebody, you're willing to communicate, you're willing to tell them how you feel, and not look at yourself as less of a man.
That's what self-worth. A lot of people aren't taught that principle. It's self-worth.
Self-worth.
You have to have it in order to do that.
Loving yourself. Obviously, it's loving yourself. Being vulnerable is allowing people to understand you.
But you have to love yourself in order to get to that
You
step.
can love yourself and still have a wall up. There's a lot of people that love themselves and still are not willing to express themselves.
I can tell you firsthand.
Loving yourself is not the same thing as expressing yourself.
That's, bro, I'm telling
Not
you.
everybody is that open.
I'm telling
Some
you
people
firsthand.
are not. Some people can love themselves, but are not in a social point where they can express themselves.
They're not finished with their journey and complete in loving themselves.
Some people are not able to express themselves, but they still know themselves. That's an aspect of knowing yourself. By knowing that, all right, I'm not where I want to be as far as socializing, but I know myself. Would you guys agree?
Being honest with yourself and knowing yourself is different.
I'm saying clearly he disagrees, but would you agree that from a social standpoint, knowing yourself is not the same thing as expressing yourself? You can know yourself without having the ability to express yourself.
No, because if you know yourself,
That's the whole idea of knowing yourself.
No, but
if you know yourself,
Omari.
nothing is gonna hold you back from expressing yourself.
no, but that's kind of I feel like you're contradicting yourself just a little bit because because when you're explaining, unwinding and whatever other word you use
Versus unloading.
and unloading, but at the same time, you are able someone venting because sometimes people just need to vent. Like you had a bad day, you want to come home and be like, baby, look. Let me tell you what this bitch done did to me at work. Or whatever the case may be. And it's not necessarily you may not have the time to sit there and prepare in the car because you still mad when you in the car and then when you get home well, let me just tell you about this, let me get this off my chest. I haven't been able to talk to anybody all day. You the person I want to come home to, and I'm gonna just tell you about how this bitch pissed me off, but it don't mean that I'm putting all of that on you. I'm just letting you know, hey, let me get this off my chest so the rest of the day we can sit here and we can love on each other and you can give me what I'm asking for. I need some loving right now. But let me just tell you about my day.
Because by doing that, if I go home and tell my wife or my girlfriend about my day, she can console me. She can make me feel better. My day is gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. You here now? Let me take care of you.
Or their favorite phrase, it's not that deep. It's okay. We it's just another day at work. But for me, I think I do understand where you're coming from. You can't know yourself and not also know how to express yourself.
Exactly.
But you also can't express yourself if you don't know yourself.
Yeah.
They're two things that go hand in hand and they oppose each other. But where Destiny's coming from is just saying, if I'm gonna be vulnerable with you to come in the house, tell you what's going on in my life, what's going on at work, whatever the day, I'm expressing to you, I know what I'm saying. But I need you to be vulnerable enough to listen and not just quickly respond.
That's more on an intimate basis. What I'm referring to, knowing yourself, you know how you feel, you know what your pet peeves are, you know what you want in a woman or a man, whatever. But sometimes you can't just express that with just anybody.
No, of course.
You can't just express that with anybody. So that's what I'm saying. Knowing yourself is not the same thing as expressing yourself. You can be open to express yourself with people that's in your circle, but you're not able to express that to a larger group. Not everybody is there yet. You speak of things that if you're not able to express yourself, you're holding yourself back. We all know in this life that there are some people that are born to fit in, and there's some people that are born to stand out. I am one of those people that is born to stand out. I am that nigga in 10,000. There's no hands down. I am that nigga in 10,000. Some people are born to fit in, some people are born to stand out. That's all coming with your ability to express yourself to a larger audience, to the point where you got nothing to hide. And that's taking knowing yourself to the idea of self-actualization, that you know yourself so well that you can express it regardless of who you're talking to. That's a difference. That's a different breed of a person.
For sure.
But you can still know yourself and not have the ability to express yourself to just anybody. Maybe your loved one or those in your circle, but that doesn't mean that you don't know yourself.
No,
And some people
I disagree.
can't find the words either.
okay, I can understand it not being able to find the words, but and able to properly express yourself, you have to know how your mind works, the average human mind works.
Every human mind is different.
I understand it, but like in a general sense, you have to know how the mind works in particular in order to get to know yourself and express yourself.
So what
You
about a
have to
person?
do the work.
Let's change the scenario. What if a person is autistic? Their mind's not going to work like yours, so they're not going to be able to express themselves on the level that you want them to express themselves.
No, it doesn't matter about
Does that mean that person doesn't know themselves?
No, not at all. Because because they have a physical disability on the
Autism is not a
surface.
physical disability.
That's we gonna get there, but let them finish.
Okay, what I'm saying is on the outside, from an outside perspective, we view autism the way that we view it. Just because they have that discrepancy doesn't mean that they are like they don't have less than. That doesn't mean that they don't have the same type of interactions within their own mental headspace that we have. We just have a certain interpretation of those people or that person with that, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, disability because of what we have been presented through school or through our personal interactions with that person. I'm fully aware of with having people who are mentally challenged in my family that they are very capable of some things. They are very self-aware and very intelligent. And it makes them very self-conscious knowing that the people around them think different. So you know what I'm saying? I don't think less of them at all. They definitely have the same mental capacity as we do, especially autistic people, because they are able to utilize mathematic equations that we aren't. I've seen a commercial where an autistic boy was able to construct the blueprints for a roller coaster. So to say that, you know what I'm saying, they're not capable or don't have the same discrepancies we have mentally, that's an understatement. I don't believe that at all.
Of course, nobody is stating that. But thank you for clarifying.
How long you comment
Listen,
about?
thank you for clarifying that, by the way.
But like with autism too, like because there's different, because the autism spectrum is, you know, very bright, it's long. Different people have different levels. Because I've been on TikTok the past few days, and I came across this autistic kid's page, and I've been watching it, which is pretty interesting. And I saw like his level, when he was young, he was nonverbal, so he wasn't able to communicate his frustration. Like he would get upset, and his way of showing that he was upset when he was a little kid, he would like hit his head, or he would like physically harm himself because he didn't know how to explain his frustration. But as he got older, his mom talked with him, like she showed videos of, you know, his progress of getting older and being able to express himself. Because when it comes to autism, it's more so kind of like more social and more emotional, because they feel the feelings, they just don't know how to articulate it sometimes, and they have to work, you know, it takes time working with them for them to be able to communicate it. But I still feel, even though they're still not able to articulate it like how we would be able to articulate our feelings, but they still feel those feelings. And some kids that are autistic they're nonverbal, they can't speak at all, so there's no way for them to express themselves, but they're still probably dealing with the same emotions that we have, they just aren't able to express it. Some people aren't able to express their feelings. And for me, sometimes I know I can feel a certain type of way, but I'm not the best with articulating how I feel sometimes. Because I feel like when I start articulating myself, like I know exactly how I feel, I know myself, I know where these feelings are coming from, but sometimes I'm not able to get the message across to someone in a way that, you know, they may understand. I'm like, look, my feelings may be all over the place, but this is how I'm feeling. I may not use the best words, but here's where I'm coming from. Like some people just aren't, if they want to express themselves, they just don't know how to or where to start, or, you know, because it could be a lot of other issues and they don't want to have to go into a huge detail how they're feeling. Like, some people just don't really know how. They know themselves, they just don't know how to get the message across.
So Asia, everybody here, everybody done kind of express their point of view. What do you feel? Do you feel that expression or knowing your emotions and expressing it, do you feel like they're equivalent to knowing yourself, or do you feel like you can have one without the other?
By knowing yourself and expressing yourself?
So, Amari feels that without expressing yourself, being able to express yourself, you can't really know yourself.
Wait. I'm saying you have to know yourself to express yourself. There's a reason, but continue.
Do you feel that you can know yourself and not be able to articulate it? Or do you need to be able to articulate it to know yourself?
Wait, I think what I'm saying is you have to know yourself to express yourself and articulate it. That's my message. I'm not sure if I communicated that wrong.
So
I'm sorry if I have.
I know what you're saying.
So
that's what I mean.
I'm saying we pretty much probably saying the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm saying that you can know your emotions, but your ability to express it doesn't make you unable or incapable of knowing yourself. You can know yourself and know your emotions, but don't have the capacity to articulate it. But that doesn't deny you the right of knowing yourself.
Okay, I get it now. Okay.
So what do you think about?
What I think is that when it comes to vulnerability in general, I think I would disagree with. What did you say? You have to know yourself to express yourself?
You have to know yourself to express yourself and to articulate what you're feeling.
Okay, so I would have to disagree, because you can know yourself, but depending on like who's around you, you can't express yourself. For instance, like, I can know how I feel and I can articulate it, but I don't want to express myself to people that's gonna not take my feelings seriously or try to tell me about myself.
That's you being aware.
Yes, but you said that you have to know yourself to express yourself, to articulate, but oftentimes, yeah, you can know yourself, but you don't want to express yourself around certain people because you don't want to be vulnerable around certain people that's going to manipulate you to think that they telling you shouldn't feel that way, but this is how you feel, but that's not how you honestly feel.
That's intelligent for you to be able to analyze that in the first place. That is extreme emotional intelligence and mental intelligence. Just because those people do that doesn't mean that you're not in the right, and doesn't mean that you don't know better. That is very intelligent for you to say that in the first place. Just because you know that those people are going to react that way doesn't invalidate anything that you have going on your end of the spectrum.
But the thing is, going back to how like vulnerability is generational, well, I'm talking about like when it comes to families, you will automatically think, I can trust my family member telling them this, but like you can say like if a family does something wrong to you, it could be a parent, whoever, but they're like, what you talking about? I didn't do that to you. Why are you feeling this way? You feel this way because of this A, B, C, and D. But you're expressing to them how they hurt you, you're being vulnerable to them, but they're
gaslighting you. Gaslighting you.
Exactly, they're gaslighting you. So it's like, why would I express myself to these people and they're not accepting of me? So I'd rather just like pull in my feelings and find somebody else. For me, that's what I had to do. I couldn't express myself around my family. I don't want to because I don't trust them. So I express myself to the people that's around me today, and I feel much better because I don't have people telling me that I'm wrong in the way that I'm feeling, that my feelings is valid, and that they apologize to me. And if I hurt somebody, I apologize to them and try to understand like where things went wrong, trying to understand how to be more empathetic towards people. So it's like, I feel like even with knowing yourself, even you can know yourself as a teen, that's still like, to me, I feel like it's still like the beginning, because you're not gonna know yourself even right now. You may know yourself probably past 30. It really depends. You don't, no human being really fully know themselves like right at 20 or at 25. Hell, even 30.
I'm 31 now still.
It
That's
all depends on
like,
when you put the work in.
but that's the thing though, like if you don't get the work in when you're young, you have to do all that work as an adult. And that's
There's
like,
nothing wrong with that.
and that's what I'm saying. It's like nothing wrong with that, but what I'm saying is like, when it comes to generational vulnerability, you would think that the first people you come in contact with, you could be vulnerable to them, but they're slapping your vulnerability away by telling you what to think, how to think, what society wants. But really, they're supposed to instill that you are you, make your choices, you learn your lessons, and you walk your own path. So it's like, if that's not instilled and they're telling you not to express yourself, but you know yourself, like that can happen.
Yes, Mr. Bergstrom.
Genetics does not mean that you are not going to come in contact with people who are not in tune and intelligent as you with themselves. Just because somebody's your mother or your father or your cousin or your brother does not mean that they're going to be able to communicate with themselves and identify mistakes and acknowledge mistakes just because they're related to you. Putting in the work to understand something like that is solely up to the individual, no matter who they are. It doesn't matter just because they're related to you or because you come in first contact with them that you're going to be able to express yourself accurately 100% of the time. It may take them until they're 40 and you're well into your 60s before they see what you saw when you were 20. We're all different.
So, based on what you just said now, based on exactly what you just said now, just because you know you can know yourself as much as you want, but you pick and choose who you want to be vulnerable to, which means you pick and choose who you want to articulate to, who you want to express it to. That doesn't mean that you don't know yourself. You just pick and choose who you express it to and who you articulate those emotions to.
And that doesn't mean they're going to be able to receive it. You can make the conscious choice to do that in hopes that it's going to go right, but there is no guarantee. All that matters is you put in the work, you know yourself, you try. And if they don't understand, that is okay.
So let me ask this question to everybody. Would you say that knowing yourself and knowing your environment determines how you articulate and express yourself?
It should. Most important. Yeah, most definitely. It should, if anything.
That's kind of where I'm coming from with this. This is where this debate comes to a close. Knowing yourself and knowing your environment determines how you articulate your emotions, how you express your emotions, and who to express it to. Because you can't just be vulnerable to anybody. Not everybody is as embracing as the next person.
Or understand what you understand.
And not everybody.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
that's
say that louder for the camera, bro.
Well,
Not everybody deserves it.
Let's say it this way.
Talk your shit.
So, like for me, I have a therapist, and I'm one of the people who I just recently went and got a therapist because I can't articulate what I want to say to certain people. So my therapist happens to be that person. She's that void between the two. So what I could say to my mom, what I can't say to my mom, I can say to my therapist. And my therapist is that void to help me articulate it, because I might not be able to articulate it the right way to my mom between the two of us, excuse me. But I can't say it to my therapist the way I want to say it to you. And then my therapist will identify and say, okay, I know what you're trying to say, but if you go into somebody else, you're gonna say it the wrong way. So the vulnerability does not always depend on the person or the space. It depends on you and your mentality. Because if you walk into a classroom and you're a new kid in the room, you don't know nobody in there, so you don't say nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you walk into a classroom 6 weeks later, you open up to everybody.
I say it depends on the person.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it depends on the environment, because your environment changes as you go. Your environment changes.
Some
So
people-
you can't base it off of a person.
Some
or
people are
environment.
more accessible and adaptable than others.
Yes, that's
I
what I said.
know myself. I'm what you would call a social butterfly. You can put me in a room with anybody,
And my mama, well, we can get any room and get some business done.
yeah.
Any room get some business done.
You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure.
And some people that we know here would rather be what you would call a ghost. Somebody that that doesn't want to blend in, that doesn't want to adapt, but rather be invisible and blend into the crowd. That's kind of go back to what I said. Some people are born to fit in, and some people are born to stand out. I'm one of those motherfuckers that was the tallest in the class, so I had no choice but to stand out.
I got
Whether it's from a physical
Personality
standpoint.
wise, let me interject.
I got the big
I
mouth
am
in the class, so I'm
interested.
gonna talk.
I am meant to stand out. My philosophies, I'm meant to stand out. My level of understanding the intellect, I'm meant to stand out. However, I am tired of dealing with the ramifications and consequences because of people's personal interpretations and feelings of me. I get tired of standing out. So it's easier for me to sit in the back of the classroom and get the same level of understanding versus when I sit at the front of the classroom, because I'm an intelligent person. I just have to put in the effort to do so.
I have to beg to differ with that analogy.
Mhm.
All I'm saying is
Hold
you
on.
can differ. It's
No,
you have every right.
respect-
However, I
I'm-
put in the work, and I know it to be true for myself. I'm not saying it's true for other people. All I'm saying is I can very well say the same thing as this guy. I know I can be that one nigga in 10,000 because of the things that I have done and the results that I have gotten just by little to no effort or effort alone. However, the consequences that we deal with because of who we are in our genetic makeup is different. It's easier for him on his end and more difficult for me on my end. And it just gets tiring. To give you an example, okay, in the movie Taken, I think it was either 2 or 3, Liam Neeson expressed that in the midst of him fighting, he knows he's a badass. He knows he can deal with each person that comes his way, but he is simply tired of it. That is where I'm coming from. I know that I am blessed. I have different talents and capabilities that God has given me that I intend to utilize. But in terms of dealing with spiritual attacks and people's inability to cope with the fact that I am blessed and there's nothing they can do about it, I'm tired of it. So I take a route that puts me out of their perspective, out of their spectrum of sight, get what I need to get the information I need to get, do the things that God needs me to do, and stay out of their way. That is where I am with it.
I'm going to interject for that, but before I do that, I'm going to let Lawrence say what he has to say.
I just want to say, like, I have to disagree, but I understand your analogy, but I disagree because you chose to sit, the way you sit in a classroom is like the same thing in the in the class system. The higher class, everybody knows them, they see them. The lower class, you might know them, but hey, they're there. And then the core. What you're basically depicting me is, hey, I know I'm in the middle class, but I like to hang around the core. That way I can blend in without being noticed. That's really what you were just saying. But in all actuality, if you really put it into two, or maybe I just said it incorrectly, but all I'm saying is, you can sit in front of the class, middle of the class, back of the class. If you're an outspoken person, social butterfly, your personality is going to fly regardless, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
You just have to be able to dictate it in each circumstance. Like, for instance, I know for a fact, any woman I date, 9 times out of 10, she can't be a social butterfly. Because I'm the social butterfly, so it wouldn't coexist. Our vulnerabilities would be completely different. But if I'm the social butterfly and she's like somewhat of a introvert or an ambivert, where she's able to be both, but she's more lean toward the introvert, I can deal with it. Why? Because when I come in the house and I want to sit down and want to talk to just her, we can talk for years. Or when I go outside, I can talk to somebody else for just a couple of days. It's all in this space that you allow something in.
I think I'm both.
One thing I was gonna say is like, especially like with men, I feel like when you're younger, they tell you to suck up your emotions. They tell you, okay, men don't cry or whatever the case may be. So a lot of times men growing up, they may know who they are, but they still were never given the environment to express themselves. So they're not gonna necessarily know how to express themselves. So with Lauren saying that, he had to go to therapy, that is something that helped him. It doesn't mean that he didn't know himself. He just didn't know how to articulate his feelings properly without, I guess, being offensive or, where the person didn't understand. Sometimes you can grow up your whole life, know exactly who you are, and just not how to express yourself because growing up you were never given that environment.
You speak on saying you're tired. You're tired of people not understanding where you're coming from. People not understanding you as you a martyr. They don't understand your words. Sometimes people cling to whatever truth is yielded towards their reality. Mm-hmm. Everybody is not accepting of a truth that conspires against what they believe in. When you get to a certain age, whatever truth that is your reality is what you are as a person. So anything that interjects with that truth, it's gonna be hard to overcome it. We are creatures of habit.
Ooh.
And it's hard to break habits. It's hard to break somebody's train of thought, especially when they've been thinking this whole way their whole entire life. It's hard to break it. So to sit here and hear you say that you're tired, you're so tired of people not understanding, you got a long road, my brother. People are not going to understand you. People are going to be angry at some of the stuff you said. And 9 times out of 10, the reason why somebody is angry at the words that are coming out of your mouth or the words that you're speaking is because they don't truly know themselves. The biggest advice that I always give people that I mentor is that you gotta have an open mind. You gotta have an open mind, and that's what this podcast is geared towards: breaking habit, recreating conversations, and redefining controversies. Because everything that is geared towards controversy is oftentimes geared towards hypocrisy. It's hard to really speak your mind without being viewed as a hypocrite because you don't really have an open mind. You're interjecting with everything that somebody says. You don't really truly believe in what they say because you can't really open your mind to believe it because you are a creature of habit. So I would never be tired of talking. I would talk till I'm blue in the face.
I'm talking my way into a bank account.
You know what I'm saying? I would talk till I'm blue in the face. Can't nobody out there shut me up. Ever. For better or for worse, nobody gonna shut me up. I bow down to no man. I fear no man. I fear no woman. I'm gonna speak my mind.
I agree and disagree. I can't nobody but God, but I made the mistake of social stigmas of allowing me to be quiet.
Some people are born to fit in. Some people are born to stand out. For those who stand out, they never submit. They never surrender. They speak their mind for better or for worse. I don't care if I'm vilified, objectified. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to speak my truth. If you can't accept it, that's your ignorance.
My response to that is I've oftentimes expressed me being the villain and not caring about it. It's just at a certain point I just got tired. especially as
The
an adult
villain don't
male.
ever get tired though. The
I'm
villain.
saying, you know, why are you seeing yourself as a villain in the first place?
Okay, so hold on.
I consider myself a villain for the simple fact that I don't agree with the typical social stigma of what is good. I understand that to do something for the greater good, you must do something that is considered bad in the public eye. For instance, you couldn't catch Osama bin Laden without getting somebody he's close to and torturing them. You couldn't capture Osama bin Laden without infiltrating different foreign countries' governments and brutalizing their foreign leaders for the sake of the greater good of your people, your citizens, and what happened. There has to be tough choices.
Don't you think that's rather conservative?
No, I don't think that's conservative. It has nothing to do with the premise of being conservative.
Hold on.
Being conservative and democratic, those are just small-minded premises, two choices
Okay.
of what the world has to offer.
Okay.
If somebody hurt somebody in your family, you finna get the person who did it based off of any circumstance necessary, by any means necessary. It has nothing to do with what you identify as being liberal or conservative.
Okay.
You will take the measures necessary to complete the task. That is something that men will do regardless of race, demographic, and philosophy. That is something we are all guilty of doing. It is something that we're all will continuously be guilty of doing. That's just my interpretation of that.
Go ahead, Lloyd.
I think I understand what you're saying. I really do understand what you're saying. But I think your analogy is kind of far fetched. Because let's look at it. What you were saying was two entities. If you really want to give a closer synopsis, you should have said something like Batman and Joker or Superman and Lex Luthor, because they both wanted they wanted two different goals, but they were the only two people that was going against each other. Everybody else knew what they were up against, but all they wanted was two different things. If you understand where I'm going.
I wouldn't give you Superman and Luther. I'd definitely give you Batman and Joker.
Yeah, Batman and Joker definitely. Like think about it. Batman wanted the better good for everybody, but Joker wanted everybody to be happy. But he did it the wrong way.
With the truth.
No, he did it the wrong way. No, he did it the wrong
Joker
He did it the wrong way.
Joker said that everybody is one bad day away from becoming him.
Yeah.
Right.
And he wanted everybody to accept that truth.
Huh?
I said Joker's story is so sad.
Yo,
I feel bad for Joker. So
Right,
sad.
that's the vulnerability. Like that was the vulnerability. Like they both was like Joker would exploit Batman's vulnerability because he knew his vulnerability was Mary Jane.
But even
No,
with
his
the
parents already deceased.
I'm saying even with the movie The Killing Joke, Batman never gave up on trying to help Joker.
Yeah.
He even said, "Let me help you."
Exactly.
But Joker said it's far too late for that.
Exactly.
So even at that moment, Joker wasn't willing to be vulnerable.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, he allegedly had some screws loose.
So that's where
But at the same time, so did Batman.
Right, Batman screws was loose all the way.
Yeah, because he definitely became obsessed with vigilante justice and utilizing his income to.
I wouldn't say vigilante justice. I would just say
My boy, he
He's
was
vulnerable.
not an ordained officer of the law.
He was definitely
He was definitely he was a vigilante.
I wouldn't say vigilante. I know vigilante of the law, yeah, but
He wasn't a vigilante. He coerced with law enforcement. They agreed because he made their job easier. But yeah, he definitely utilized his income
He
in
made
his
their
phone.
job easier. He did their job
for them. That's why we call him vigilante. That's why I
Because
really call him a vigilante, because if the law worked with you, you're already breaking laws, and they're allowing you to do
I
it.
mean, that's what I've heard. I don't know if it was Spider-Man back one of the movie. They was actually calling them a vigilante. That's why I say.
Label, but we understand. We all know who he is.
We over here, we don't deviate from the time. We don't went from DC to goddamn
Marvel.
Let's get back on top with the
But vulnerability wise, all I'm saying is, on both sides, you gotta understand. You gotta pick one and understand, like, both of them want the same thing. We want the same thing. Everybody wants the same thing. But you gotta know, okay, am I gonna be Batman about this, or am I gonna be Joker? Because we both want the same thing. But am I gonna go about it a way that everybody can see it? But I might be going about it. I might be doing it illegally, or I'm just gonna be completely black, go left field, and not care what happens.
For the sake of me being who I am, I refuse to make a choice on either spectrum. I'm simply focusing on the middle, being neutral, and focusing on the truth itself and not what.
There's no such thing as neutral or the
Yes, it is.
No,
That's why I come across and being and I'm oftentimes misinterpreted by other people because I'm not putting my personal feelings. I refute my personal feelings on things and I look at it for what it is. The sky is blue.
Black and white.
I look at
black and white.
Yes, I look at the sky is blue
So
for
there's
this
no
reason, for this scientific principle, and that's it.
So there's no back and there's no middle. If it's black and white, there's black, there's white, and there's no middle.
No, there's
there's
a
black and
reason
white.
for everything. I'm saying this happens because of this.
So you live in.
It doesn't matter because
So,
you feel this way. It doesn't matter because you feel that way. We need to focus on what's fact. Get over how we feel on either side of the spectrum. That is why we keep going through the stuff that
So
we're going through.
your thought process is based on causality.
Yes, and for the greater good.
Hmm.
I understand that there will be hurt feelings. I understand that I will be misunderstood in the process of explaining myself, but I'm still willing to try, even though I'm tired.
I would say use the
So
word
if your thought process is based on causality, would that mean that you do not have an open mind? You
I
can't
would say
really
that.
have a thought process built on causality with an open mind.
I wouldn't say that because causality in itself is wild. Causality itself is like past tense. Causality is something that can happen in the future. Causality is living in the moment. Causality is nothing consistent. You just have to look at the situation for what it is. The sky is blue because of this. The sky is blue because of reflection from the ocean. That is why we see a blue sky. Oh, the clouds rain because of evaporation. We have to look at stuff for what it is.
But your thought process is in a loop because of it.
I wouldn't say that.
It's in a continuous loop of cause and effect.
But we can become so much more because of realizing.
There's no deviating from it, so you don't really have an open mind. But not to continue on this topic of thought process or causality. I'm gonna close this conversation off with one last question, and I will hope to hear from everybody, both the black man and the black woman. I know what he's saying. I'll be right. Keep it going. Woo! Keep it going. One final question for everybody in the room. We all can acknowledge that black men have vulnerability and that we have our own ways of overcoming it or expressing it or enduring it. For black men, how do you feel as though we can overcome it? Like from you to another black man. And for black women, how do you feel that you can help a black man overcome it? So we'll start with Amar since he keeps raising his hand like we're in the classroom.
I just want to make sure that I have consent and I'm not interrupting nobody. I'll go back to what I said first and foremost.
No.
Knowing yourself and creating a space within yourself where you can be properly expressive and properly accepted. That in turn helps your partner, the black woman, create a space where she can be receptive. And in terms, you have the ability to be receptive in the process because you've already practiced and done the work from the opposite end. So just put yourself in your partner's shoes, know yourself, learn to concentrate, learn how your mind works, learn the reality of your energy in your situation, prioritize your partner, and things are going to go better than you blindly operating and bouncing off of things that happen. You reacting to things that happen. See the bigger picture.
Aaron?
I feel like as a black woman, how I can help the black man is creating that space for them. Maybe even starting off with asking them, how are you feeling? Like, really, how are you feeling? What's going on with you? Starting there, and then even taking the chance for me to be vulnerable and open up, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Or just kind of just using the language to reassure them, like, hey, this is a comfortable space for you. If you're ever feeling a certain type of way, you can come to me and talk to me about it. I don't want you to ever feel like, you can't talk to me. If you need a hug, tell me you need a hug. If you upset, like, tell me you're upset. If you want to cry, look, you can come cry to me. I'm not going to go and tell people that you're crying. I'm not going to make you feel bad for crying. Just creating that space where you both can have the open communication that we both need.
Wow. I think it's gonna start with something that we all gotta break, and it's gonna start with us black men first. Black women have started doing it, but black men need to join the bandwagon. Seek help. Like, seek help.
That's good.
Go see a therapist. If you don't want to go see a therapist, go to a group of guys, or screw that, a group of guys that you can sit down and have that conversation with. Hey, bro, and man, tell me what's wrong, bro. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why can't I do this? Why can't and be real? Like, let y'all be real with each other. Because think about it, if people go to AA groups, they go to these therapeutic groups to open up. So if it takes therapy, and then from there, learn to express it within your conversations with others. Mm-hmm. So reevaluate your communication and reevaluate your mental thought process of seeking help, not just from a professional, but from friends and the proper friends.
He's talking to you, Amari. My name is Amari Rakestraw, and I got hate in my heart.
Cry.
First and foremost, I utilize a lot of different methods. I utilize a lot of different things. I learned from a Buddhist guy whose name is redefine about concentration and how to properly articulate myself and my finite energy. That is how I was able to communicate with y'all today and properly, communicate and clarify, what I meant in my statements. So I'm definitely seeking, the mental space to do so. I'm just making it a personal responsibility rather than seeking outside doctoral, advice about a situation for personal reasons.
I heard Felice Johnson doing some counseling too, bro.
Oh, Jesus.
Man, why did this man bring up this guy's name? That is, oh man.
I mean, if you really want to go see somebody, that's a doctor, you also go see Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yeah, but people don't like him because he's rather robust and intelligent.
You go to Felice, man. Go to Felice, man.
No, I'm good.
He'll help you understand something very well.
No, I'm good.
Right. So, Asia?
To help a black man be vulnerable as a black woman, it starts off.
Unity.
I can't stand this dude.
Both of y'all ain't shit.
After I was being vulnerable to you,
Oh, dang.
I tried.
Try harder. Anyways, as I was saying, so by creating a space, making sure that my man has a space where he can express himself, making sure that the space is safe, and that to also reassure his feelings, no gaslighting, and the biggest important lesson is to listen. Listen to understand. Do not listen to respond. Because a person can tell.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Guilty as fuck over there. You listen to understand. You do not listen to respond.
Amen.
Last but not least. And last but certainly not the least,
Head nigga in
I
charge.
said, my name is Amari Ray Strong, and I got hate in my heart. And
Ah,
I don't listen either.
Man, disregard what this man talking about.
this how you feel, brother?
Well, it's kind of, I agree with what everybody says. Great points, everybody. You definitely got to know yourself, one, like he said. You got to communicate and listen. And allow others that are trying to help you to help you. Don't be so caught up in your pride that you deny yourself your blessings. There's a lot of issues that we face in life that's gonna be hard to endure, but there are certain people that God put in your life that allows you to be vulnerable and submissive to how you feel and be able to express it to those people. If you need help, definitely seek therapy. If you don't have that, especially if you don't have that person that you can talk to, but try always continue to push forward. Surround yourself with individuals that can help you overcome these obstacles, and just have an open mind to the circumstances that we continue to face in everyday endeavors. But that's all I have to say. This was a lovely episode. You know, we're going strong. You know, everybody wasn't here today, but you know, we still going strong. And man, keep on watching, man. Anybody else got anything else to say?
No.
I am Amari Rakestraw.
I am Erica.
I'm Lawrence.
I'm Aja.
And he's that odd nigga out.
Goodbye.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in for more. This is Prolific Group Podcast, and I'm Destin.
Your hat's fake.
You know, you gonna start with the shit you did,
I
man.
like how the last video ended where we were like talking and getting up like